Welcome back to the Composing Made Simple podcast. This is episode 28. On today's episode, we're going to discuss companies reselling or updating their current libraries. Next, we're going to talk about using different microphones in these libraries, why you need them or why you don't need them. And lastly, we're going to talk about, are we the best person to trust or judge our own music or critique it? All this and more on the Composing Made Simple podcast. So let's get on into it.
Composing Made Simple. We talk about something new every show. Composing Made Simple. Grab a coffee, have a seat, and let's go.
Good, yeah. It's been a productive couple weeks, and trying to work on that album, some orchestration work, the usual.
Yes, it's been quite the. It's been busy here too. I got my work, real work.
Yes.
My real job. Like I told you guys, I'm transferring to a new team, and it's just like the last year of my life has just been. At least I've been working. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no complaints. It's just like, when you're constantly switching up what you're doing and teams, and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm just thankful to be working and have a job and all that good stuff. I just got my second COVID shot over the weekend. So the last few days have been a little. I didn't get like too bad of symptoms, but I was just tired. And I had some like muscle aches, like kind of like what you get with a cold sometimes, but I didn't have no fevers or nothing like that. Just like tired,
Right.
So yeah, I'm fully vaccinated, which is, I guess it's good.
Yes.
My 5G's working well.
Yes.
So, yeah. Anyway, sorry. Conspiracy theory stuff.
Yeah. That's good to hear you're feeling good.
So over. Idiots, but yeah, anyway, that's a different podcast.
Yes.
So I mean, music wise, how's everything going for you guys?
Pretty good.
Good.
Yeah. Not much to report back, but
yeah. Well, I'm sure you guys are working on stuff. I mean, you probably can't.
Yeah, I always do stuff, no matter what.
I mean, sorry. How's is stuff starting to pick back up after COVID, or do you guys see any change, really?
I mean, for me personally, like I think maybe a month or two ago, it's kind of been dead. But at the same time, I've really been thankful for that, because I kind of had no pressure of deadlines or anything, But starting a couple weeks ago, a couple gigs came back in. I had some outstanding payments that were finally delivered to me.
That's nice.
Yeah,
for sure. You at least feel a sense of closure there. And then a couple of orchestration gigs coming up, some virtual stuff, which is always nice. And I feel like there's a composer who asked me to kind of orchestrate some stuff for a video game too, so that's always nice. And seeing how it goes from there. And I hired a couple musicians for a big band track I'm writing for the album, so it's always nice to, help out other musicians when possible, instead of using samples all the time. But
yeah,
cool,
very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, good to hear. You guys working and everything. For you, Chris, obviously it's giving you time to work on your album and stuff, so that's good. Kind of work on your own music. Not that you don't, but kind of really get to focus on.
Totally. Yeah, at least there's like a vision and something I'm aiming towards, and I think that's like Todd. I think that's something you want to have time to do too, right? Like you want to be able to work on your own stuff without feeling pressured or anything.
Yeah, I mean, to a extent. I mean, me musically right now, I'm working on my side project, some ambient stuff. I'm getting back into my ambient stuff. The reason why is because I did upgrade to the Mac Mini. It only has 16 gigs of RAM, and so it is limiting. I mean, it's a great computer. I mean, don't let that hinder you. But yeah, if you're gonna do full blown, I don't think it will be able to. I haven't really tried, because I know it's not gonna happen, because I've had some freeze ups already on some things that I do. Just workflow stuff, because it's it's only 16 gigs, and Google Chrome, shame on you. You use a lot of freaking resources.
It does, actually.
Oh my God.
It's true.
For real. It's like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I have to use it for work. So mainly I just needed a Mac, and like I tried the Windows thing for like 3 months. Yeah. I'm just like, dude, I can't. It's like, I love Windows. Don't get me wrong. I mean, where Windows is at right now, it's the best it's ever been for a long time. It's just me as a person. I'm a Mac guy through and through. Absolutely. I'm in the ecosystem, and it's where I'm comfortable at. And Logic is my home. I mean, I've tried dabbling with Cube. I love Cubase. Like I said, if there were some features that they could throw from Cubase into Logic would be awesome. But like, I'm just so used to it, it doesn't bother me at this point. But anyway, back to the music thing. So I'm just working on ambient stuff, and I can do that, and I can still use contact instruments and use Spitfire. But here we go again. It's like the Mac thing. I'm a Spitfire guy. Like, I love Spitfire. I mean, there's things about Spitfire I've complained on the podcast for numerous years. You've heard me be critic, and I'll be the same with Apple. I mean, you gotta put them in their place, and you gotta let them know when, like, I don't think that's a good idea. But Eric Whitaker Choirs works fine. Omnisphere works fine on the Mac Mini. Like, everything loads up pretty snappy. I haven't done 50 Omnisphere tracks, which I don't. I only do maybe 5 at the most. And I'm using, the unfinished stuff. So, and some of that stuff is pretty RAM intensive. And I haven't really had any problems. So, I mean, if you're just like
with the 16 gig, it's like, just because of the way that it works, because it's on die, it's like actually there with the processor.
Yes.
That it's actually more like something in between 16 and 32. That it's a little deceptive in how low the actual quoted number is in terms of actual real world usage. So. Yep.
I haven't had any issues. That's true, but I've had a few things. Yeah, I mean, well, they haven't said specs. They haven't said what the chips are, what the specs, what's the, you know what I mean? Like, they just said it's this and that's that. I mean, maybe in the future I might upgrade when they roll out the new, Pro machines. I saw that new iMac. I'm just like, it's not for me. And I don't really want an iMac. And I just got, about a month ago, I got a widescreen monitor. What is it? A 34-inch ultra wide, dude. Oh my God. I'll never go back to a normal one. Just for like Logic and just for like workflow stuff. It's basically like having 2 monitors in one. Just for Logic though, like timeline stuff. Like, you can literally see your whole timeline, like when you're working on a project, and you don't have to scroll. It's trust me, if you don't have one, get one. It will change your workflow. It's great. I love it. So I'm like thinking, like, maybe in a year or two, like, if I outgrow the Mac Mini, maybe I'll get a laptop, Mac Pro laptop. I don't know. We just have to see what Apple's gonna do. I'm a desktop person. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard for me to do just a laptop thing. Like, it's, I don't know. Maybe that's the old man in me or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm just working on some ambient stuff and kind of getting kicked in the butt. It's like the couple of months I took off, it was kind of like to find what I want to do. And if you look at my YouTube channel, before I was doing all the stuff that I did, I was doing ambient stuff, like just basically improvising ambient stuff. I come up with chord progression, put it in a looper, and see what happens. Like, that's what I like to do. So, I still want to do composing and stuff, but I don't know. It's just one of those things. Right now, I probably can't do that with the computer that I have. I mean, I do have, my freaking PC that's, it's way powerful. So I have 64 gigs of RAM. It's i9, so we're doing good over there.
That's good.
Yeah. I tried to do the VSL. I couldn't get it to work, man. Like, I plugged in the Ethernet because the Mac Mini only has one Ethernet port, and
you should only need one.
I couldn't get it connected. Like, they couldn't talk to each other. So I don't know. I have to probably.
It's probably a firewall.
Yeah.
On all my VSL servers, you don't have to do this. You can manage it better. But on all my VSL servers, I just turn off Windows Firewall. It's just not worth it for me to screw around with, like, trying to figure out what exception I need to make for it. So I just leave it off because, like,
that's probably the issue. Yeah. I'll have to look into that. because I was gonna try that to see like what I could get away with. But yeah, I mean, so that's kind of in the future. It's no rush for me. But yeah, that's basically what's been in my world.
Awesome.
I'm going on, like, we're actually taking a little vacation here.
Ooh.
At the end of the week, we're going to Florida,
Lovely.
and it's like I'm a little hesitant. It's like I don't want to. I hate flying. I don't like flying. It's like, and then now with like everything that's going on, you know,
Yeah.
like I have to wear a mask on the plane the whole time. It's like I hate being on a plane. Period. It's like now you're gonna make me. You know, it's like I don't mind wearing a mask, but like, you know, in an airplane, that's a whole different world.
Sure.
You know,
I love flying personally.
Dude,
so just to get off the ground.
I mean, once you're up in the air and like the plane's like,
yeah,
you know, on cruise control, I'm cool. But once you start hitting that turbulence, man, I'm like,
oh,
get
yeah,
me
yeah,
off
yeah,
this
yeah,
thing.
Yeah, no, I know the feeling there.
Yeah, I just don't. It's the control thing. I like to be in control. Like, you know, I'm not controlling the plane. You know, it's just that thing in your mind. It's like, oh, if I was in control, we'll be fine. But in reality, it doesn't matter who's in control. Yeah. So anyway, it's a control issue with me. But yeah, so we're trying that, and we're just gonna be gone for a few days, and it's gonna be nice. But yeah, there's a little anxiety from my part. You know, it's like, what is the world? I mean, you know, it's like with COVID. Yeah, I just got my shots. I'm vaccinated, but it takes, you know, 2 weeks or something to be
sure,
whatever. But you can still get COVID. I mean, so
yeah.
But all right, well, cool. I guess a little life updates. Yeah, sorry for there's people asking in the Discord like when our next episode, and I told them that, you know, we had a few things that popped up, and so we kind of missed April, but whatever, it's all good.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess let's roll on into the show. All right.
Sounds great.
Let's see. So we're gonna reselling. I thought a cool little topic, because I've been dealing with it kind of personally. Are we the best person to judge and critique our own music? You know what I mean? I think that would be a good little topic for us to discuss if we have enough time. I know you have to leave at like what 10:45.
Yeah. Around there. Yeah.
So we only have like 20 minutes. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about the East-West. I've seen a lot of fire on. So let's roll into that. Curtis, you want to kick that one off? I'll start the thing, but do you want to? Because you're a little more familiar with it than I am. So
yeah.
And then a different mic. If we get to that, we'll do that. Okay, cool. All right, so we're gonna jump into our first topic of the episode. We're gonna discuss the East-West controversy. What's it, HOOPUS or Opus, or what is it called? Opus, right?
Yeah, they usually just call it HOOPUS on VI just to kind of try to smash it because the name is so unwieldy. Hollywood, what is it? Hollywood Orchestrator Opus Edition. It's just like how many?
Whatever it is.
Like, do you guys want to load a pro in there?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. So yeah, it's a pretty unwieldy marketing name, but yeah. Yeah, we talked a little bit about it last time too.
Yeah.
But it's you know, it's Hollywood
But
Orchestra.
now it's out, right?
flavor.
It's out.
Yeah,
because it wasn't out last time. Yeah.
Yeah, I have it. I've been playing around with it. It's Hollywood Orchestra. It's the same sample content for the most part. They added some stuff to it, like there's a new 18 violin section for those really lush violin lines, and I think there's like I think they said like a new A2 trombone patch. I mean, they don't call it A2. I don't know why, but there's like a 2 trombone patch and some other stuff. But I mean, the big thing is both the new player, which is not play, and the new orchestrator sort of thing. So both of which, I mean, both of those decisions have proven somewhat controversial, just in that there's not a ton of new sample content in the actual library, which some people are unhappy about, and then of course some people are unhappy about the orchestrator because you can press one key and sound like John Williams, which always makes a certain subset of folks a little bit cranky.
Yeah. It's like, this is nothing new, folks. There's in a lot. I mean,
I know
anyway.
That's my thing, is that is this really a whole lot different from other products? I don't know.
I guess it's like when a lot of companies will actually upgrade, or let you upgrade for a very, very small price, if not free. But it also depends on like how much new sample content and stuff there is, right? So it sounds like there's like I guess a suitable number of upgrades to this product. But again,
I mean, look, if you don't think this price is good for you, I don't begrudge you.
Just don't get it. Right?
Like that's fine. Like don't buy it. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't like or Hollywood Orchestra, don't buy it. Right.
It's that gas syndrome. Everybody, something new, I gotta buy it.
Yeah.
It's that. So basically, they pulled a Spitfire. They took one of their old libraries and did some EQs to it.
To me, the new player is definitely worth the cost by itself. But I mean, I understand that other people might make a different calculus for their needs, and that's fine. I think the new player is great. It addresses most of the pain points that people had with play. It definitely, you can tell that they went down the list of like things people hate about play and just kind of checked them off. None of those things ever really bothered me about play, but the new player is just so nice to look at, and it's so easy to use that I'm happy with it. But then again, I was talking to Chris about this before the show. Like I subscribe to like, you know, the Ultra Composer Cloud, you know, just everything we make in all versions. So for me, it's not like a risk. Like it's not like I dropped $400 on this thing. So, you know, it's like I sort of, maybe my opinion's a little warped by that. And again,
you're an East-West guy. Like you've started with East-West, you know their products, you know how they develop, you understand that world. So somebody that's like started with Spitfire and they come over to that, it might be like, whoa, what is this? Because it's not the typical.
My personal favorite is the it has too many articulations complaint. I'm like, what?
Do you know how to write for an orchestra?
Why wouldn't you want all those articulations? I mean, maybe you're not going to use. I mean, I think the solo trombone patch, like I was loading up the key switch, I think it has 50 articulations.
Oh my goodness!
Which that's a lot, you know.
Awesome.
But like that's because trombones have, you know, like 18 mutes choices. You know, it's like. And if that's not for you, cool. If you're not going to use them, cool. But I just don't understand why you're mad about it. Like,
this might be controversial, and I don't really care. I think it's the crowd that are not trained to do what these things are supposed to do, if that makes any sense.
I do see a lot of people complain about like articulations, and they're like, why would I ever need, you know, like, and they'll, you know, this is just an example. Like, why would I need ricochet? I'm like, in case you want
need a ricochet.
Unless you need that.
There will be a time.
Like, do you know what that is? Do you understand the difference between that and spiccato? Because I think there's this like you know, and like there's like 18 staccatos. Like it's not really 18, it's like 5. Well, but you know, and it's like, but that's because there's a huge difference between staccato, staccatissimo, and spiccato. Like they're genuinely different techniques of playing an instrument. I don't know.
Right.
That's
it's like,
really
hey folks, to me, but we're out of the Hans Zimmer, you know, hold down one button with the horn, you know, for 8 bars, melodies. You know, you can do more.
Right.
Sorry. You know what I mean? It's. We've always been hindered by the samples, right? And everybody's always complained, you know, there's not enough. And then you give them too much, and then they still complain. It's like, it's better to have more than not enough, right?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you are struggling with hard drive space or something.
Exactly.
It's not for you, man. I mean, like,
there you go. Or
lady. I mean, like, it's not. It's that's okay. That's fine.
Let's be real.
That's fine. That's fine. You know, if you don't need 27 or 50 trombone articulations, that's cool. But like, I feel like posting a VI about it maybe is a little weird.
Excessive.
I don't know. It's very odd to me. People also don't like the way they name patches, which I can understand. But I also have never looked at an East-West patch and not known what they were going for. So I don't know. I used to keep a little table just in case I needed it. Just print it off and like duct tape to the wall next to me, you know, for their abbreviations. And I don't know. It's just never really bothered me.
Here we go. I got an idea. Sample library developers, if you do listen, hopefully you do, build in your thing a way to hide articulations. There you go. Problem solved.
That could be nice.
Yeah. Like functionalities within your player, or create it to make you can hide things that you don't want. Mic positions. I mean, there you go. Problem solved. But I think, I may be wrong here, but I would say Spitfire and East-West and like Cinesamples all hit a specific niche.
Oh yeah.
With composing, Spitfire is more the I would say, hey, we're going to do the Apple approach. We'll do all the work for you. We just want you to compose media music, right? I guess you want to say film score stuff. I would say East West and Cinesamples is more towards the traditional John Williams orchestral kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because
I can
same
see
with
that.
VSL, or they're the same way, because that's the kind of market they were in when this all started. Like,
Sure.
that's who they went for, concert music, and you know what I'm saying, like that stuff. So it makes sense to me, like, why those people would be complaining about stuff like that. Like, you guys are, trained, right? I mean, I'm not wrong there. You guys studied
Right.
this stuff, how to write for an orchestra, and you guys understand that stuff. Like, oh yeah, there's all the articulations because that's what they can do, and there's endless possibilities with an orchestra. You can craft so many sounds. You're not just limited to, let's see, what are the culprits here? We have staccato, legato, and that's about it.
Sometimes Mercado, but
And Mercado.
I feel like, a lot of the time people, it's funny because it seems like a lot of times when complaining happens, it's usually because of overwhelm, and it's so easy when we're spoiled with so much choice and there's so many companies vying to make their products simple and approachable that when we get something with so much breadth, then it's suddenly, it turns people off sometimes, and that's what makes it divisive and all that. So
Yeah.
it's hard.
I mean, I saw your review,
PC.
Chris, of Synchron the other day.
Yeah.
And I feel like they have even more articulations, which is awesome.
I was gonna say, like, I was really and I was really pleasantly surprised by the map, right? Like we talked about the mapping and the way it's laid out, the GUI. It looks super intuitive and it was very playable and it sounded great. And I know for a fact that I didn't even go through maybe like 1% of the library, but at least at least they make it approachable and you can start playing right out of the box, and that's really, really important, I think.
Yeah, I mean, where we are is, we talk about this all the time, where sample libraries are today, like, you shouldn't be complaining. It's
Absolutely.
so easy.
There's
Like,
something for everyone.
Yeah, go back 10, 20 years ago. Like, you had to build your own rooms. You had to build everything out. Like, that's why people don't like VSL, but that's how VSL is. It's like, it's a dry library because you build your own room. I don't know if it's like that anymore, but that was the whole purpose of VSL. It gives you the control to create your sound or your favorite concert hall or whatever, that sound that you're looking for. And that's what, I mean, from when I got into this, that's what most people want. It's like, well, I want to sound like this recording. I want to sound like, Jurassic Park soundtrack or, whatever. And then we got into the, when Hans Zimmer kind of got, thing. Now we're more, I don't even know where we're at anymore because I don't even follow it. But like, we were into the hybrid orchestral whatever. I don't even know what it is now. I mean, is it still Hans Zimmer? I mean, that's how far out of touch I am.
That works.
I really don't care. Like,
At
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like,
yeah. I think there's just, it's fracturing more. That's like less this like monolithic like sound that everybody wants.
Yeah.
Like if you listen to Hans, he still sounds like Hans, which is awesome because Hans like works in so many situations. It's great, but also like I feel like Ludwig, what's his last name?
Ludwig.
Thorsen. Yeah, he's doing really cool, interesting things, right? Like his Tenet score has all those amazing, like sort of almost atonal synth things happening, or percussive synths, I guess. I don't know even how to describe what he's doing there. So he's doing his own thing. You still have like people like Michael Giacchino writing, more of a classic, let's put an orchestra in a room and record, the whole thing together. Kind of John Williams, but with maybe a modern twist kind of idea. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's starting to spread out, which I really like. So, I mean, personally, I think that's great.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, more options for people. Like Ludwig, like I love The Mandalorian, but there was times in The Mandalorian I'm just like, I don't know about that. But yeah, but there was great.
Do some out there stuff, which I love.
Which is great.
So.
Which is great. You can't fault him for that because
exactly.
He's a chance. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to push.
But he can also do the like super mainstream, like Black Panther, right? It's like it's a fairly, I mean that's I don't want to say safe, but it doesn't do a lot of really bizarre things because that's not what the project needed, right? And so he's obviously awesome.
No, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, for me personally, like, Star Wars has a language, a music language.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. And, like, I get it. Like, the Mandalorian's like an offset of the main Skywalker thing, but still, you have a. And some of those episodes are just like, oh, dude, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically, like the first episode I remember, it was very like, you know, like the Clint Eastwood stuff, you know, the spaghetti western mixed in with it and kept it kind of fresh. And I was like, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. And then there was just some moments I was just like, oh God, like this is in Star Wars, but I'm like, whatever. But
anyway, to get back to like Hollywood, I mean, I think the thing that people are mostly mad about is something that also Spitfire did this week, which is it's because it's like older content, right? They're basically selling the same samples again. I mean, let's be honest, they are selling the same samples again, as is Spitfire with their SSO Pro. And I mean, I guess I understand why that bothers some people, but also it's like, so use the old stuff. I mean, I don't quite get the.
Yeah, well, it's because people. Like, well, I have to buy it. It's like, you don't have to buy nothing. Like, save your money. You know, it's like, just because somebody releases something doesn't mean you have to have it. I think, like I said, we fall into this gas syndrome. I gotta have it. It's like, because it's gonna make me better. It's like, no, it's not. You know, learn what you have, what you got, use it, and get creative and do something new with it. I mean, but for real, what more can Spitfire do? Like,
yeah, I mean, that's a good question.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what more can you do with an orchestra?
But
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I totally get it. I mean, I will be honest, I grabbed SSO Pro 2 because for me, having those outriggers alone is worth that price. Yeah. You know, for some people it's not, but like the ability to have outriggers that widen the stereo image just beautifully and actually sort of fulfill the promise of, you know, the quote, the air sound, right? Like, that's worth it to me, but it's not worth it to you. I mean, I totally get it. I mean, that's fine. It is the same library with new microphones. It's the exact same library. I don't even think SSO Pro has new samples, does it?
I didn't even dive into it. So I'm not.
Like I said, at this point, I've unsubscribed.
I think it just adds, and I could be wrong here, so please correct us if we're wrong.
I'm looking now.
It's like I think it just adds the outriggers, the ambient balcony mics, basically. Which again, like if you want your stuff to sound like it was recorded in air, those are gonna help because you're gonna get some air. Having stood in those balconies, it's
a dad joke. Sorry.
There's a reason they put them up there.
If you want some air, just add some. Never mind. Sorry.
Yep.
I think the coolest thing Spitfire is doing right now is their labs and their $29 libraries.
Yeah.
Like for me, that is where it's at right now for them, because those things appeal to me. It's like it's cheap and it's like not a one-trick pony, but you know what I'm saying. It's like it fills a void for something that I wouldn't probably think about or use right off the bat. I'm like, oh, but I got this cool thing and it doesn't break the bank if I need it. So I think that's really cool.
Well, that's the thing about Spitfire. I feel like they really are masters of trying to cater to everybody. Like they have their free, they have their cheap, they have their expensive. And the thing is, like, there will always be customers who will buy anything you put out. It doesn't matter what it is, right? So then and Spitfire knows that. So, you know, if they repackage it and it looks pretty and people just feel good buying something new, even though they might know it's, you know, the same stuff, then more power to them. That's it, you know?
Yep. It's the Apple thing.
Yeah.
Spitfire has the same loyalty as Apple, like us Mac guys have. Like we'll buy any if they put an Apple logo on it. Oh my God, I need it. Why? I don't know. I just need it.
Because it looks cool. I want it.
Yeah, I just want it because it looks fancy. Like I'm kind of out of that now because like the older you get, you're just like, I had my Apple Watch, the original one, for 7 years. I just now upgraded. So there you go.
Right.
And I'm really happy with it. Though,
I still have my 6S from like 10 years ago.
2015
Yeah.
I'm saying, like,
that's amazing.
Because it still works. I mean, like, that's there you go. That's why people buy Apple products.
It has a headphone jack. That's true.
Yeah. But, like, you know, now the new one, you know, well, the 6, whatever the one that just came out last year, they'll be coming out with a new one this year. But, you know, it has all the health stuff in it, which is what I want. Like, I don't care, you know, because when I first got the watch, in 2015, I was just looking for, like, because they had all the trackers, for fitness and stuff like that. And it's like, well, what's Apple going to do? Because I was going to get a Fitbit. And I'm like, well, I'll just wait to see what Apple's going to do, because, they're going to put a spin on it. They're going to put the Apple spin on their product. And I bought it. And at the time, the first one, dude, you couldn't do anything because it was like tied to your phone. And it was just like, okay, this is horrible. So now it's like, it's kind of its own thing, and it's matured, which anytime Apple puts out a first gen product, you don't buy it unless you have to have it. Wait till the second one, because they'll iterate on it and fix all the stuff that was wrong with the first one, is my experience. Like I said, I've been in the Mac world since 2008. So, Topic. With a kind of a thing that I was thinking about personally, and I wanted to get the guys' feedback. Obviously, Chris had to leave, so he won't be in this topic, but maybe we can come to this subject again. But are we the best person to judge and trust our opinions on our own music? So I just wanted to hear what people thought, and also I want to hear our listeners. So if you listen to this on YouTube, or if you don't listen to it on YouTube, or if you're an audio version, you can just hang on over there and get in the comments, or you can send us Twitter, come in the Discord and let us know. But anyway, so I've been struggling with this myself. It's like, because there's times I'm literally writing something, and I think we all do this. Obviously I took a little break, so I mean my skills are probably diminished a little bit. Just be honest. If you don't do this every day, that muscle gets kind of weak.
Mm-hmm.
Same with exercise. If you take 2 months off, you try to go back on a run or a bike, you're gonna, oh my God, what happened? So the same thing with music. It's a muscle. And I was just sitting here and I was listening to something I was doing, and I'm just like, I suck. Like, what am I doing? I have that all the time. And I think as a creative person, I think that's just something we struggle with, internally. I'm sure you struggle with that, right, Curtis?
100%. Especially if you're like tired and you're not excited about what you're doing anyway because you're tired, and you do something, and like maybe on another day when you had 6 cups of coffee and a good night's sleep, you're like, you would have been super into it and like finished the piece, but now you're just like, I don't care. This is terrible. It's not inspiring because right, like because depending on how tired or sort of down you are, it can kind of it creates a bigger barrier to entry in terms of actually being excited about what you're writing. So yes. I find that's really hard. The other thing I just like what you were talking about, like, and sort of along the same vein, I saw this interview with John Powell, and I think it was the one that I mentioned a while back that he did with Eric Whitacre. Okay. And Eric Whitacre was sort of asking him, what is your like number one piece of advice for composers? And I think that's what he said. And it doesn't matter what triggered it, but what his advice was you need to be kind to your new ideas. Like you need to treat them gently. Yes. Give them a chance. Like it's surprising how often you might write something that you think is garbage, but then you come back, 6 weeks later and. Right, like it's super great, right? You decide, oh wait, that's great. So that was his advice, was that you actually the problem is not so much not being hard enough on yourself, but being too hard on yourself, and being too unwilling to sort of be receptive to new ideas. So
yeah, no, totally, I agree with that. I know for me personally, I'm pretty hard on myself. When it comes to creative stuff. And sometimes, I think I did a video about this. I think we've touched on this before, and it's just like, don't let your idea kind of simmer a little bit, walk away from it. Like you said, come back to it, because maybe on that day that you wrote it, you weren't the guy to finish it at that day. You know what I'm saying? Like you needed something, a new experience, or learn something new to take that piece to the next level. If that makes any sense. Like I do that sometimes. I'll go back on my old hard drive and I'll pull up stuff I did like a year ago, and like you hear, because you got some time away from it. Like, whoa, man, that's like, I forgot I even wrote that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like when it blows yourself away, like I wrote that. What am I doing? And that's cool. But then you'll hear the moments that you're like, yeah, that's kind of weak. And I always think, for me, like, I don't think we're the best judge of our own music, because, like, I've said this before, like, you're like on this piece that you really love, and then you put it out in the world and people don't respond like you think they're going to respond. And then you have this thing that you wrote that you're just like, yeah, whatever. And then you throw it out there and then everybody loves it. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
I just think that, like, I mean, yeah, external feedback is helpful. I also think it's like this question of, like, your ability and your taste and your judgment are just like your composing ability, in that you have to kind of cultivate it. Like, you can't just not do it. Like, it takes practice to learn how to judge your own music. So that's the other thing too. That's another dimension of it, is that I agree, you're not always the best judge of your music. And also, if you haven't developed that ability to sort of step away from what you're working on and your creative output, then it can be hard to even have the skill to even know what to look like. This is something I've struggled with on the not so much on the composition side, I feel like, but on the production side. It's really hard for me to listen to something and like you'd be like, oh, that needs more this, right? Or that needs more compression, or that needs more volume control, or the EQ should be different. Like, those things are very difficult for me, and it's taken a very long time for me. And it's taken a lot of mistakes, right? I've had to put out a bunch of things that I was super excited about, and then maybe 6 months later I listened to them and I was like, well, I like the piece, but man, that production is there's too much of this, right? I'm slamming the limiter too hard, or I'm the EQ is too, like, this is a thing I went through for a while. I went through this phase where I think it was my monitoring environment, where I was boosting the highs a little too much, and so everything kind of had this little sheen on it, and I really went way too crazy on that. And so there's this whole set of things that now I listen to, and I'm like, it's from that era, and so recently I've been trying to sort of tamp that down, so it's less sort of shiny on the top end, and things like that. That sort of, you have to do it wrong, right, to like know to even look for that. So
exactly. Well, that's how we learn, by making mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes, Dude, I totally agree with you. And like you said, it's a skill. Like, composing is a skill. I mean, if you don't use it, like me, like I said, I literally walked away from music for like 3 or 4 months. I just didn't feel like doing anything, man. I was just like, why? I was just in a weird state, like, just kind of like, I just don't really want to do it right now. And kind of recharge the batteries and kind of look at things like, where do I need to put my focus? Because, why did I get in this in the first place? To have fun. I get it if it's your job. I get it. Like, you and Chris have totally different outlook than I do. This is your job. You do this every day. You wake up and do it. Just like my job. Like, it's weird how, like, you just get into that mode. Like, you just walk to your desk, turn on the computer, and my workday starts. And I just do it. Even if I don't know how to do it, I'll just figure it out. And it's like, why can't I do that with music? And I think what it is for me, Chris said something at the beginning of the show. He's like, oh, Todd, must be nice, not having that pressure. I would say no. I have to have that pressure. Because when I don't have pressure to write, I'll just take forever to write something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like at my day job, I have, like, if I have a week timeline, it's like, dude, I got to get this done in a week. Even if I don't feel like doing it. Like, even if I don't like what I'm doing, I still do it. And I just finish it. I wish I could have that mentality with music. I don't know why. I guess because it's not my job. Like, I'm not like, if I knew my next check was dependent on this musical score, like, I'd be damned if I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just be in that chair.
Right. It's a very motivating factor. I agree.
Yes.
I think that's definitely true. I mean, I think this is a personality issue. Because I personally, like, that can be a little suffocating to me, to have the like, oh god, I gotta get this done, and the guilt, the Protestant work ethic guilt, can really kind of mess with me and, like, really give me a hard time. But it just kind of depends on the situation. So
right. And it is it's a personality thing, I think. Yeah, you're right on about that. Like, for me, because, like,
I get it.
Yeah. But if I have deadlines and if I have somebody pushing me, like, I will just, like, then like I'm nonstop. I'm like a machine, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like I will sit and do it until it's finished.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just that type of person. Like once you flip the switch, I can't stop. It's just pushing me, like getting me going.
Getting started is always
getting started, man. That's the hard part for me.
Yeah,
I'll find out any excuse imaginable to not do it. Oh man, it's like I'll get to it tomorrow. I'm just one of those people, but like it's not that like, oh, I'm a lazy, like I'm not willing to work. It's not that. It's just I guess it's fear.
Yeah, well, it's hard to get motivated, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's fear. It's fear. Fear of failure. I struggle with that a lot. And as a kid, I was fearful. I was a shy, introverted kid, and I was afraid to put my ideas out there, And a lot of it comes from the way I was raised, my dad and the way he raised me and stuff. I mean, whatever, it's what it is. But, looking back at your life, you can see where these things happen. And I was very shy, and like I never got involved. Like now though, like at work and stuff, I'll be like the first one to like, jump off the ledge. Yeah, I'll try it. You know what I'm saying? Like 20 years ago, I would not have been like that. I'd have been quiet, like, oh, let somebody else do it. But I've understood that like if you don't put yourself out there, you're never going to learn. You're never going to grow as a person. So I think I need to switch my philosophy and put that in towards music. But music's a weird thing because it's a very personal.
Yeah, it can be hard to take bad feedback. It can be real hard when when people don't like something. I mean, I've gotten to the point now where I find it hilarious. Like I actually really like when people don't like my stuff. Actually, I find it incredibly amusing because I like it. So I'm like, well,
that's all that matters.
Whatever.
If you like it and you love what you do, it will show, I think. You know what I'm saying? Because bands get this, like rock bands. The one that comes to mind is Metallica. They were this thrash band, but if you listen to every one of their albums, they're all different. I mean, they all sound different. They have all different approaches because they grow as musicians and as people. And then when the Black Album hit, they went pop and then reload. Anyway, I'm a big Metallica fan. Not so much today, but I mean, it was in high school for me. That was like my band. And, when you're a teenager, you kind of live by the music you listen to, or at least I did. I don't know about you, but it's kind of like a badge of honor. You're like, hey, this is the band. This is who I listen to kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it. So anyway, so it's like, as musicians, you have to grow. And I think that was another thing for me too. It's like, I'm going somewhere else, I'm not the same guy I was 5 years ago, or even 2 years ago. So, and that's okay. I think we think that like, oh, if you're this one thing, you have to be that one thing forever.
Yeah.
And that's not cool. I mean, like even you, man, I'm sure you look back on your old scores that you did and you're like, wow, I don't write like that no more.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. So, okay, we'll move into our next topic. Little one, just using different mics.
Yeah, I thought I would maybe like talk. Like, do you ever use different microphones? Like, I think it's just a nice little thing to talk about. Like, how do you use them? Like, what do you do? Because I see a lot of people that I feel like are just kind of at sea. When you give them like 6 microphones, they're like, I don't want this, so I don't want to use these. I just want the tree, which I get.
I'm guilty. Like, because when I got Eric Whitaker choirs, that was it for me. That was the first one. Because that's when Spitfire started adding more mics.
Yeah, like 30 mics.
Yeah, the weird mics. Like, oh, we got this mic that we put up in the ceiling and put in a bottle or whatever.
Yeah, my personal favorite, is the Hans Zimmer bottle mic that's like inside a cooler under the riser or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're saying, I think it's until you dive in, it's fear. Like, why do I need this? Because this wasn't in my other library. This is not what I'm used to. And, people clam up and like they get frightful about it. And it wasn't until I got that library and listening to you talk about it when I started experimenting. And it's true. You can get different sounds. And depending on the music that you're writing, it just gives you that much more ability to tailor it to the piece you're writing. And it's not a struggle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you have 2 mic positions, how are you going to fit it in there? Now you have to
2 is even better than 1, but I mean, I mean, and like, yeah, of course, like, do I just leave the tree at 100% and then shape around that? Yeah, most of the time. That's what I do, right? Like, it is tree, right? Is your main, your bread and butter. Like, it is the thing that pretty much stays all the way up the whole time. But you'd be surprised at like what a little bit of like on a, you know, go to your close strings and throw in some close mic. I'm sorry, to your close strings. Go to your short strings, throw in some close, see what it does. Sometimes the detail can be really great. Yep. You know, go to your big wide, you know, legatos and throw in something that's further away, like a room, or in East West they call it surround. I think in Spitfire stuff they usually call it like an ambient mic or maybe a balcony mic if it's in air. You know, just try it, see what happens. Like, you'd be surprised. And, you know, you just have to kind of play with them. And I found that you can get some really cool sounds out of them. One of the reasons this kind of came up to me was I had purchased SSO Pro. And man, those outriggers, I mean, talk about like stereo image, like just like it's like watching a painting go from black and white to color. Just the way that the stereo image just feels so much more expansive when you just turn that mic up a little bit. Yeah. You know, and a lot of developers, if they have like some sort of walkthrough, you'll see them like throw a mic setting on. Try that mic setting. See what it is. See if you can like get rid of all the mics but the tree, then put it on the setting that they did. See if you can hear the difference. You'd be surprised how easy it is actually. Because, you know, I mentioned earlier that like production is not my favorite thing to do, right? Like I don't love to do mess with all this stuff. So like you, Todd, I spent a long time just like whatever, leave it on tree. I don't care. But because I mean, you do get great results that way. I mean, that's how a lot of stuff is recorded. But you know, it's surprising how even me, who, like I said, I don't really find production that interesting, and I often sort of doubt myself or kind of don't feel like I know what is wrong with a mix or a master or whatever. You'd be surprised that just playing with the microphones can really give you a lot more insight into what that is. It's kind of like what you were saying with the choirs, right? Where you were trying something, right? You're just, what happens, right? If I dial up this one, what does it sound like? And you'd be surprised how obvious it can be, what these things add and what they're supposed to do.
Well, I think it comes from I'm a guitar player, so effects is something that we do for a guitar player, because like you know, guitar is a guitar.
Right, pedals,
it's either clean or distorted. That's it. But when you get effects pedals, changes everything. So I think if you're a guitar player and you love effects, I think you're a little more experimental. And for people like you that come from where you come from, you know, a symphony orchestra, it's pretty straight, and you know what I'm saying? It's you know what you're getting with it. It's like, hey, it's strings and that's it. There's not a lot of production going on, and for the most part, media music now, there's a lot of. I mean, it's all freaking production. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's where that comes from. That's just my personal take, because. But yeah, until I got Eric Whitaker choirs, and when I heard you talking about it, and I saw, you know, your old streams that you would do when you first got it, and I watched them, and I saw you know, tampering with that, I was like, oh, okay, I'll give it a shot. You know, let's the fear's coming in, but let's just see what happens. And yeah, I normally mix. I think why a lot of people don't do it is because it takes up a lot more RAM, and if you're limited, you know, I could see that being a problem. But a
little trick for that: grab your track. Do the whole piece with just one mic, freeze that track or bounce it in place or whatever, then just duplicate it. But on this instance, load the other mic. It's the same thing. So then you can work on each mic individually. And that gives you a lot of freedom, obviously, in your mix, because you can then mix it in the DAW instead of in the player. Got it. So that'll help. That helps a lot.
Cool. Yeah, like the standard Spitfire mics, I'm looking them up, is close, tree, and ambient. That's basically their bread and butter. And even with those, I mix. You know, I'll put sometimes if you put too much close mic in there, it gets too like, you know, overbearing. So I'll like turn that down. You can really
dial up too much. Like if you watch like professional mixers, they're not dialing the close mic up to 90%. You know, they're being very careful about how they do it.
Yeah, watch the Spitfire walkthroughs. His name's escaping me. Not Christian, but the other guy.
Paul.
Paul. Yes, Paul. Watch Paul. When he does his walkthroughs and look at the way he does it, that's where I started getting it. Because I started watching some of the demos, and I've seen what Paul, because like Paul is really good at that stuff. Like he doesn't get a lot of credit, I don't think.
He's also really good at explaining like why he's doing what he's doing, and like I'm gonna do watch how I do this, and then he'll explain exactly what it's gonna change about the sound. Then he'll do it, and then you can actually hear what he means by that, which is really helpful. Yeah, he's very good. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I have he has a YouTube channel, and if you're not subscribed to it, go subscribe to it. I know a lot of people are subscribed to Christians, but Paul's is really good too. I haven't watched it in a while. I don't know if he's still doing stuff, but he probably is. Paul Thompson. That's
Paul Thompson.
He doesn't get a lot of credit. Yes, he's really good. So watch what he does, and that's where I got a lot of, because I learned a couple tricks for them. Like they'll do the tree at full blast, close down, and then like you said, throw a little bit of ambience in there, the ambient mic, not a lot, just a little, and it just changes the sound so much. Like it gets it a little more. I don't know, just something.
And it's nice for Spitfire stuff, especially because. You can just turn off all reverb on. Like I have all reverb on every Spitfire instrument completely off. I do not send it through any reverb. If I want reverb, I turn up their faraway mics. And there you go. And that's how you get that air sound out of their stuff in a much more manageable way. This week I've seen some people writing some very long and really nice, actually, really pleasantly written, very reasonable stuff about how they don't like Spitfire stuff. And one of the things they always say is that they find it very unwieldy to quote unquote drag the room around, right? And it's like, well, first of all, if you're putting any, I don't know if that person is, but if you're putting any reverb on a Spitfire, anything, try turning it off first and just see what you can do with just what they've given you, because that's probably why. Like, you don't want to be adding any convolution onto the top of what they've given you, because it'll start sounding like, you're in a building the size of Manhattan real fast.
Well, and I think they're missing the concept of what Spitfire is all about. It's about the air sound. That's what that's what makes their library so great. Like, you're buying into that. Like, that's what you want. Right? I mean, but like you said, you can turn it off, but I'm saying the whole point of Spitfire is because people want that studio, just like people wanted the Tide AO, reverb AR, which is no longer around, right? Tide AO. Yes, it's no longer around. Which every score you listen to as us was pretty much recorded there. So that's the thing. It's interesting. We live in interesting times, man. Because our generation kind of is like, it's no more. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're the old farts now, and it's weird. I saw an interview with Alan Silvestri that he did with Native Instruments. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I did.
Really good.
Yeah.
Really,
it was really good. That was a really great YouTube video. And he goes through all of his process, and it's pretty great. That's not something you see a lot. I was surprised at how good that video was, because it's clearly there to sell contact, which is fine. But I just was surprised at how much other stuff that wasn't that made it into the video.
And look at there. I think we'll end on this because this makes it perfect. Look at Alan Silvestri, man. Came up during the 80s when John Williams was the king, but look where Alan Silvestri is now.
He's very adaptive. Yeah,
there you go. And that's what it's all about. Growing as a composer. He could still do that. Maybe, I don't know. And
I'm sure he could sit down and handwrite it like he used to.
He does. He does. Like, he was there with paper. He was writing there.
Right, but I mean, now he has to do like an orchestral mock-up.
Right.
You got to convince everybody that your vision is great, and but he's learned to do that, right? Like, this is not a knock on John Williams at all, but I'm sure if John Williams, if you gave John Williams, well, can you mock it up? He'd just be like, bye.
It's John Williams. He doesn't need to mock it up because they know it's going to be great. Yeah, see ya.
Exactly. Of course he doesn't need to. I'm sure at some point some poor young movie producer has been well,
he just brings him over to the house. See my piano, and I play it. There it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that awesome video when Steven Spielberg is sitting there when he's playing E.T. Oh, dude, it's so cool. I mean, I think he's going to score the next Indiana Jones.
Yes.
That's insane, dude. He's like,
I don't think 90? We got a lot more scores out of this guy, so enjoy them while they last. So
I know, man. At his age, I mean, like I said, I just saw him a couple of years ago, and the guy was on fire, dude. And he's like 80-some years old, conducting for 2 hours. It's like, wow, man. This guy's got some energy. That's why he's great. I mean, there's a reason. Like, when I saw him, I was like, okay, I get it. And there's something like that when you meet an artist or you see an artist, they're great for a certain reason. that's it. Like I was watching this Prince video when he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think it was like 2005. Yeah. It was. He did. They were playing "While My Guitar Gently Weeps." It was Tom Petty and a bunch of other people, and he just like lets it rip, dude, and like plays this solo. But you just watch him. It's like he's just owning it, man. Like he knows he's good, but like he doesn't let it go to that point where like ha. But it's like I don't need to. Like, you know what I'm saying? And at the end, dude, he just throws his guitar up and walks off stage. Somebody catches it. I don't even know. Like he just throws it up, dude. He just puts his thing down and he just walks off. Like, yep. Yeah. See ya. I'm Prince. I did what I did. See ya. And it's just like if you've never seen it, Chris, just check it out, dude. It's like
will do.
It's insane, dude. And like he's like playing this solo and he has like a dude up front. He actually leans back off the stage. The guy catches him. He pushes him back up. I mean, of course, it's choreographed, but still, it's this is Prince, man.
Yeah.
It's like he brings it, even though it's some, awards thing. There's a reason why he's Prince. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a reason, like, he is that mystique, and you're witnessing it right there. So, anyway, yeah, it was cool to see. I mean, I think I seen that video a long time ago, but like, it kind of popped up on my YouTube feed again, and I was like, oh, let's check it out, man. Because I like Prince, and I'm not like a huge fan. I mean, I kind of later in life started listening to more of his stuff, but I wouldn't say I like regularly listen to him, but I do enjoy his stuff. For me, it was Batman, 1989 Batman. He did the score, not the Tim Burton did the score, but like he did the music for Batman, like all the songs.
All the songs, yeah.
Trust. Well, anyway, that's how I got into Prince. So anyway, nice. All right. So let's move on to our picks. Chris already did his, but we'll do some fancy editing to make it.
We'll edit him in. He'll come back for our picks part.
We'll summon Chris.
We'll summon the snip tool.
It's actually for a library that at the time of this recording isn't released yet, but should be this week or next week. And it is Audio Imperia's new solo library. They recorded a whole bunch of solo instruments, almost all the orchestral instruments. And from the demos, they sound incredible, especially like the horns, some of the woodwinds, and looking forward to hearing more of the strings. But a lot of people were impressed with the Jaeger vocals and some of the solo instruments from Nucleus, so it'll definitely be interesting to see how that sounds, and I'll probably do a review for that too. But yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Man, I remember when Audio Imperial kind of put out their first kind of things, man. Like they were just doing like little sound bed libraries, and then now look at them. It's insane how far they've come.
Well, because they realized what like the demand is, right? And everyone loves orchestral stuff, and they know that I mean, I guess their first orchestral thing was Jaeger, wasn't it? Their first like full orchestral library, I think. And ever since they've just gotten better because they know what people want and they listen to feedback. That's one really good thing about them, I think.
Yeah, because I remember when I bought my first stuff, it was just like sound things, like the hits and booms and whatever. That was like about all they had. And then I remember, I think it was Jaeger when they announced that. Yeah. Sure. Wow, that was a couple of years ago. That's cool.
Yeah.
What's
anyway,
it called?
It's literally called Solo, and then the subtitle is like Expressive Soloist or something, Orchestral Soloist or something. So there's a whole thread on it on Sample Talk, so I'm sure there'll be a commercial thread soon. But at the moment, they're trying to hear back from NI regarding the encoding, so it should be any day now they should have it out, I think.
Cool. Yeah, they've been putting out a lot of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't own any of them, but I mean, I've wanted to get a few of them.
Yeah.
Like Nucleus and Jaeger and
Aria, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, at this point, it's like I don't really buy unless I need something.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
Cool. a new piece of gear I got, which is very rare for me to buy gear, is the Strymon Iridium. So what this is, I'm a big fan of Strymon. I have a couple of their pedals, and they're really top notch. What it is basically it's an amp and cab simulator. So I don't have an amp anymore. So I basically plug that pedal into my interface, which is the Apollo Twin X, which I could finally use again. Oh, thank God. I couldn't use it on Windows. I was so pissed. I bought this thing, and anyway, it's a Universal Audio Apollo Twin, if anybody wants to know what it is, if it doesn't know. If you don't really look into it.
It's so weird that it wouldn't work on Windows.
Well, because this version is Thunderbolt. It gets kind of weird there, which I have Thunderbolt on my PC, but for some reason it just
there's like 8 versions of Thunderbolt. Yeah. There's like Thunderbolt 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I looked on their website. It doesn't work. It's Mac only.
Yeah. That's so weird. I mean, Windows Audio is kind of a.
Yeah.
I wish Windows would unify their audio, but yes.
Anyway,
that sounds like a cool piece of gear.
Yeah, so it has 3 amps actually built in. It replicates a Fender, basically the classic amps. A Fender, a Marshall, and a Vox AC30, and then it's got like 3 different cabs, and then you can get IRs, off the internet, and then download them into a pedal, which is insane to think about because 20 years, 30 years ago, not even 20 years, but 15 years ago, like hooking your guitar pedal up to your computer, like what? You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's like starting to come into the guitar world. Like it's really cool. I mean, here we go again. It's like that thing you were talking about, like the mic positions and having 50 of them. Well, it's like now it's coming to everywhere. Like you have the ability to do whatever you want, which for some people like me, that scares you because it's like when you have too many options, you'll just sit here and go, and not do anything. You get, what is that? Paralysis, whatever that fancy term is. I can't think of it.
Yeah.
Stagnation.
I'm not sure which one. I know of it.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I'm also, it's drawing a blank. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of thing. But yeah, so it's really cool. And it could probably be used not just for guitar. I mean, like if you have a synth, or I mean, like if you're coming up with cool parts, like you could use it to do a whole bunch of
absolutely.
Stuff. I know a lot of people are doing that, with synths and stuff. So that's my pick of the week. I just got it like a week ago, so I'm kind of diving into it, but it's really changed my workflow, and it's kind of cool because I could play guitar at night if I wanted to, plug my headphones into my audio interface, and it actually has a headphone jack on the pedal. So, nice. Which is insane. So basically I could just sit here and just use that if I wanted to. Like you could take it to a gig and hook it up into the I mean, it's insane, dude, that this thing. I mean, this is where we're at. It's crazy to think like you don't even amp anymore. Well, there's no live gigs to play, so it doesn't really matter.
That's true.
So that's my pick. All right,
Chris. My pick this week is one of those $29 Spitfire libraries. This one is it's real experimental. It's real interesting. It's from a German artist called Hainbach. The library is Landfill Totems. What this is it's a sample library built from sounds that this guy makes with old vintage scientific test equipment. Yes. So he has, all sorts of oscillators and, I don't even know what these things are. Apparently, some of them come from like nuclear research laboratories and things like that. And he uses them to create these really interesting, one-of-a-kind sounds. They're very, it's very electronic, very unapologetically electronic. So this is, you're going to get a lot of hissing and crackling and that sort of really digital, gritty sort of sound out of these. A lot of them are sort of atonal. They don't really have like pitch. They're just kind of a texture. There are a set of actually tonal patches in there. And everything has, controllers to modify it or add reverb or delay, or, all of them come with some sort of filter pass so that you can, do various things with the mod wheel to really shape the sound. There's also a set of percussive things. It's very weird. It's very niche. If you're not doing electronic stuff, it's not for you. I'm not even going to say like it's probably not for you. It's not for you if you're not interested in unapologetically electronic sounds. And the album that he made alongside it is also very good. Again, very experimental. Only passingly tonal. But yeah, it's real good. It's real interesting. And you can do a lot to it. I have like a 30-minute ambient
Nice.
like thing that I've made with it that I haven't put anywhere, but it's just been so fun to play with it that I just kind of kept going and going and going. And you could put it through all sorts of. I like to put it through. Output has a granular plugin called Portal. You can throw it through and it will just totally change it into something new, but still really useful. So it's all sorts of, but even like putting it in reverb or putting it through, a filter or whatever, or distortion can completely change it and make it new and interesting. And it's just a cool little thing. And it's $29. So, hard to argue with that. So.
I gotta check out Portal. I thought you were talking about Movement, but yeah, I don't have Portal.
Also Movement. I mean, you could throw this through Movement too, and it'll sound real interesting. Yeah, Portal's a granular effect, so it'll do grain effects on whatever you put it through.
It's like Atmosphere that has that thing in there.
Yes, but exactly the same kind of idea. Only this one is like an effect that you put on.
Got it.
Like Movement. Yeah.
Yeah, and that guy actually has a YouTube channel, and I actually just subscribed to it like the other day. I didn't even know that he has a Spitfire library, so that's really cool. I didn't put the two into.
He's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, and it was like on the front of Spitfire's page, like of course for 3 days before they moved on. So I don't think a lot of people caught it, which is one of the reasons I was gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna do SSO Pro because I actually really like it, but then I was like, oh no, let's do that little one that probably nobody noticed.
Right. Yeah, I'll link his YouTube channel. Simple Podcast. As always, you can head on over to composingmadesimple.com. You can get all of our links to follow me, Chris, Curtis, and myself. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, all those social media links. As always, if you like the podcast and if you want to listen to this on YouTube, you can go on over to youtube.com/ToddK. All the episodes are being uploaded there. I know sometimes it's easier to do it on YouTube, or if you want to, and the audio version is still like the same. We appreciate every one of you that listens to this podcast, and please go ahead and support us. You can like us on the Facebook page and all that. We do have a Patreon account. We're still in the works of trying to get this thing to where it's going to be beneficial for you, but if you do love what we do, go ahead over there and just support us. I think it's easy for $1. But anyway, thanks again for taking the time to listen to this episode, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.